Welcome to Love Punch, where I'm challenging leaders, entrepreneurs, and creatives to make a lasting impact. I'm your host, Ruby Fremont, and I'm here as a catalyst for you, the new generation of thought leaders. Join me each week as I dive into raw conversations with real impact makers. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Love Punch, and I am super stoked as usual because I have another awesome guest. Jen Mavros is here to stir your soul, and her mission is to love humanity forward. I fucking love that. As a voice for love, Jen has dedicated her life to helping spiritual seekers manifest their soulfully aligned desires and dreams in life and in business, so they can be inwardly aware and outwardly successful. She's a modern-day spiritual messenger, hostess of the hit podcast, The Jen Mavros Show, and creator of the Mavros Method of Manifestation. So, Jen, welcome to Love Punch.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, love. I'm so happy to be here.
I want to dive right in because there's something in your bio that I absolutely fucking love. And it's this notion of being inwardly aware to be outwardly successful. Talk to us about that.
Oh, I love it. Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have heard kind of the cliche saying around everything that is happening outside of you is a reflection of what's happening inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just with what everything that's going on in society today, with all the technology, and we're go everywhere all the time. We've got this busy lifestyle. There are a lot of tools that people can learn that will really support them in having a very peaceful and aligned inner section, their inner landscaping. And I think that that's really what is one of the things that's missing today, because it all starts within. If you want to, and again, here's another cliche saying, if you literally want to support and make an impact in the world, you want to help the world move forward, and it truly starts with the individual. It starts with you.
Yes.
And so get your own paper. And I believe in personal development and soul growth is one of the best things that we can really do to help the world. And then the ripple effect, the aftermath is that you begin to see that as an outward expression.
Right.
So,
and what's crazy though is most people go backwards, right? They come into the entrepreneurial space and they want to hit success first. We often look at other people's success stories, people who have been at it for 10, 15 years, and we're like, oh, I want that. So I'm going to build all the things and do and have all these things. And they forget about the being. It's who you be is so important.
Absolutely. Do you, boo? Do you? Yes. And so so just building a tool belt of things that can support you in what you want to see show up on the outside. You have to do the internal work. And I love that you just said that, because it's so true. I mean, we definitely get things backwards sometimes as a human species, but it's okay. I mean, life is messy and beautiful at the same exact time. So it's okay to not get it right the first ring around the rosy. So
or sometimes the first 100 times.
I mean, sometimes, definitely. Definitely.
So what's interesting to me is when we do start to get onto this spiritual path or personal development expansion path, is how quickly that really does impact your business and your ability to create success.
Yes.
So what have you found in your own journey or with your journey with clients in terms of the spiritual path and how it really correlates with business?
Yeah, everything will change. But literally, I mean, it depends on how deep you go, and a good way. Everything that it's being in alignment with how you want to feel is one of the first things that we always start with. Is good old Danielle Laporte, my girlfriend. So starting there is how your core desired feelings. How do you want to feel in your business? How do you want to feel in your life and in the different areas of your life, relationships, etc. And starting there and building outward. And then you can really gain the clarity. So clarity has been a huge thing for a lot of people. But I also want to side note that people can use clarity as an excuse not to take aligned action.
Oh my God, fuck yes. I'm so happy that you said that. Please continue. I'm just so happy that you said that.
Yeah. So, I don't have the clarity that I need right now. So I'm just going to have to sit on it. So then it becomes this like paralysis of inaction. And in actuality, like if you zoom out and look at the spiritual and the soul level, it's okay not to know where we're going. As human beings, we have a tendency to want to feel like we know the next step, or to feel like we have things under air quotes control.
Right.
But in actuality, we don't have nothing. I mean, nothing is truly like in your quote control. I mean, you can certainly control the way that your thoughts are emerging, and then that leads into your emotional space, and et cetera, et cetera. But but it's just a journey. It really truly is just a journey. And for me, the way that I've really been aligned with and felt called to live my life and live in and on my business is to lean back instead of to lean forward. So let me explain that really quickly.
Yes, please do.
A lot of times people will feel like they have to lean forward, especially in the space of like, I want to manifest my life. I want to bring things in. But what happens is you actually begin to have this sense of like this forced willpower that starts to happen. And look, that is all about your personal, you're relying solely on your own personal strength when you do that. And I can tell you that you can do that for so long, but what will expand and magnify like exponentially is when you energetically almost kind of lean back and you allow, you get synced up with how you want to feel, like that that core feeling. And you allow the universe to support you, or however whatever your higher power is, God, source, spirit, however people identify that. But you really are able, when you lean back, are you then able to see kind of like these sparkling little intersections that pop up, and you follow those. You follow inspiration. You follow the things that make you fucking happy, that light you up, and that will lead you on the path. So this, yes, clarity is amazing. And some people really feel like they require deep clarity to know every single step along the way. But in actuality, again, lean back and allow the universe to lead you and support you along the way.
I love that. It is true. Like, so often we fall into that trap of leaning forward because we want something so bad. And especially for, purpose-driven souls, if we are running after our purpose or our mission, like we want to see it come into fruition so badly that we will do everything in our power to lean forwards. And we often forget to lean back, which gives us like a larger view of what's actually going on, and that's so, so important, but it can also be very hard to do in the moment.
Yes. So I mean, nobody gave us a manual on how to be a human being.
Damn it.
And I know, shit, what the hell? This manual on what it's like to be in duality of not only are you a divine being that's more powerful than you can ever fucking imagine, but you are this human being that messes up, and failure is a part of our journey, and you experience pain and shit that just sucks. Right. That is that beautiful duality of life where we are simultaneously both at the same time. Yes, but leaning back, I almost like to say, like, kind of leaning back into the arms of the universe. Because for me, this was one of the most powerful questions I heard that was said by Michael Bernard Beckwith. What is the universe seeking to express through you? And so, just sit with that one for a second.
What is the universe seeking to
express
through you?
Yeah. So
that's deep shit right there.
Yes. And so it's, and just side note, as far as the entrepreneur space, a lot of times people will come into this feeling like, oh, well, my stuff is kind of like their stuff, and we're all kind of sort of teaching the same thing. And there's that insecurity that begins to bubble up and pop up. But what happens when you're leaning back and surrendering into the arms of the universe and allowing the universe to express itself through you, or God express itself through you, there will never be another you. You have your own
Mhm.
soul print, your own unique expression in the world. And so
Mhm.
even though we might be talking about similar things, there are going to be people that gravitate towards your energy, where you are in life, how you show up in the world. They're going to gravitate towards that, but someone over here might be teaching the same exact thing, or talking about or doing the same exact thing,
Mhm.
but they may not feel resonant with that person. So
Right.
it's so important that we all do the inner work so we can show up and participate fully in our life. Because
Mhm.
I've often felt that I've felt like sometimes there's so much unused potential that lives inside of me. And I
Mhm.
see that reflecting back to me with my clients and with everyone that I see around me. I'm like, there's so much more that you
Yeah.
can give to the world, and how, and to show up as, and so yeah,
Yeah. But that starts by giving to ourselves, like
absolutely.
it's like that feeling of being tapped out when you are pushing and pushing and pushing in your business, when you are in the yang energy, when you are just striving to move forward. At some point, you're going to feel depleted. At some
Mhm.
point, you're going to feel disconnected from your
Yeah.
highest self.
Hmm.
And at that point is when it's like the creativity juices just burn out. Like you don't have anything to write about anymore. You don't have any topics to jam on your Facebook lives. Like you just run out of shit to say. And it's because you're tapped out. And so,
Hmm.
you know, spiritual entrepreneurship, which is something that you're a massive advocate of, like this is really taking into account like always being connected and bringing that into
Yes.
your business, into your daily life of the
Hmm.
business in order to really grow it. So I'm curious to know, for our listeners and our viewers, if they're in a space of like, oh shit, like I'm that person, she just described me, I'm tired of being, pushing all the time.
Yeah.
How do I get into this space of like really embracing spiritual entrepreneurship?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, that's a big question,
It
but
is.
the
I just realized that.
it's all good. It is all good. No, and so I guess the first thing that comes up, and I want to mention is, talking about, and people, it's the yin, the yang, the
Mhm.
yang, the divine masculine, the divine feminine.
Mhm.
There's different labels that people call it.
Mhm.
And just for those people that are listening, that if you're like, huh, wait, I've
What?
heard that before. What does that mean exactly? So the masculine energy it doesn't mean that you're more manly, like you're
Mhm.
growing, hair in certain places, or you've got like big bulky muscles. It doesn't mean that at all. Masculine energy just means that it's more of a doing and moving forward, like an execution,
Mhm.
rather than the feminine energy is more internal. It's more introspective. It's more going within, more of that meditative space. And
Mhm.
we embody both of them. Every single person in this world has their own unique blend of, it's
Mhm.
not like you have to be 50% masculine, 50% feminine. It's your own unique blending.
Right.
And so everybody has their own secret sauce to life when it comes to that. And so it is important that we are finding this beautiful, almost like harmonizing space that honors both of them. Because if we lean towards one side, then it almost becomes more, the other side becomes what we call wounded.
Right.
You're off kilter. And so it is important. We were just talking about aligned action.
Mhm.
That is what masculine energy, you're leaning into execution, taking action. But
Mhm.
the aligned space is when you're leaning back into the feminine energy,
Mm.
and going within, and tuning in there. So for me, one of the best tools that I use personally is meditation. And I think a lot of
Mhm.
people can get scared by that. They're like,
Yes.
freaking, I don't know, I do it wrong. I broke it. I
Right,
broke
right. Like
meditation.
I'm doing meditation wrong. My mind is going to different places. Like, do you know how many thoughts you have per second
Yeah.
of each day?
A bajillion. Yeah. There's like, what is it, like 60 or 90,000 thoughts that we think a day? Something
Yeah,
insane.
something insane.
Yes. So really, one of the things that you can do is, and I love this. I actually just went to a live event, and Kyle Cease, I love his
Love.
material. He's
Mhm.
fantastic. He said it in such a way that reframed it for me in the way that I teach, because I teach meditation and so forth.
Mhm.
But I love that he made it so kind of mainstream. And he's basically like, just sit there and just be aware of the thoughts that bubble up. And he's like, give it some time. Those thoughts are going to continue like circling around, and you'll hear all this stuff, but you're not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. And he goes, typically at about 30 minutes after those thoughts are like racing around, they begin to chill, to freak out a little bit. And then he's like, then I have this really deep insight that comes to me. So meditation can be done many different ways. A lot of people are more into like movement meditation, where you are keeping your conscious mind active by focusing on controlled movements or motions, and then the subconscious, and you're able to go into a deeper meditative state. So for me, I've been training myself for a while in this. So I can just sit or lay down and I will eventually go into a meditative state. But that for me is where I keep my shit in check. Right. To keep my shit in check. But also I'm able to pull forth, the wisdom that lies within all of us, this beautiful sacred wisdom. The next step per se, this inspirational space, it can be used for anything. Yeah. So meditation is really kind of my go-to for, bringing myself into check, like I said, as a spiritual entrepreneur. So that, in my opinion, is essential.
Yeah. So listeners, start meditating.
Yeah. Just start where you are.
Yeah. And so what does that look like? If they say they're one of those people who's like, well, I'm a really, really shitty meditator. Yeah. What's the best way for them to begin?
Sure. I mean, you could, there's breathing meditations too, like Kundalini yoga. I mean, so some people will want to start there, or going for a walk in nature.
My favorite.
Yes. I mean, yes. So it doesn't have to be super complicated. And because, typically as human beings, we like to overcomplicate things.
Everything.
But spirit is so simple, and it's always back to our natural essence is always so simple. I find myself saying all the time, I'm like, that was so much easier than I was trying to make it. Like, but when it was because I lined back to my truth. And another thing I wanted to mention too is we're never not connected. We are always connected to the divine.
This is so important. This is so important, because so many people say, well, I'm not connected, or I've lost connection, or I don't know how to connect to my highest self, or to the universe, or to whatever it is that you believe in.
Yes. Yeah. We are always connected. We're never not connected. It's who we are. We're built into that. And so for me, meditation is the space that I can go back in to remember my divinity, to remember my power, to remember and release things that are keeping me from. So, Marianne Williamson talks a lot about you're either in the space of fear or you're in the space of love.
Right.
And so our natural essence is that of love. And that is a space where we have all of that beautiful innate wisdom. When we begin to migrate over to fear, because we're humans, everybody does it. That's when we feel like we're separate, when we're disconnected, when, we're not aligned with our truth, when we're not speaking our truth.
Right.
So, it's a journey back to love.
So then my question to you is, when you're in that space of, okay, well, I'm going to try and lean back a little bit, and I'm going to work to like look within some more to find the answer so I can propel my business forward. It feels like there could be a fine line there between leaning back and like stopping yourself.
So there's a difference between doing and being. And like I mentioned before, like the doing is more of the masculine energy, the being is more of the feminine, and it is a balance of both. So when I feel into like leaning back into the arms of the universe, it's almost I'm surrendering. So I've had to really practice the muscle of surrender, because that was a lesson that I've had to learn. So when I'm able to kind of relinquish like what the way that I think it should be, my expectations, when I'm able to just kind of lean back in that, and listen. When you ask, you listen. So if you've got a question, you have an inquiry, like, how am I supposed to do this? Like, I don't understand what is my next step? You just asked, just lean back and listen. Again, you may need to like have all those thoughts, like you may need to give yourself some space to let those thoughts take their toll. Right. But so that's, Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Because I mean, quite often when we do that, when we do ask ourselves a question, The first response might be, because we're in that space of fear, are going to be all of our fear-based responses.
Yes.
Like, oh, but you can't do that. Or, oh, you don't have what it takes to do that. Or you don't know enough to do that. And so what you're saying is like, really just sit with that until it passes. And eventually the answer.
Yeah. I mean, yes, if you are doing like what I was talking about, as far as like listening to your thoughts and allowing them to just kind of release into that. But there's also the space of working on the belief systems. That's a huge piece as well, where especially in the space of divine manifestation, which is what I teach. If you are looking to co-create something, and when I say co-create, I mean I'm leaning back into the arms of the universe. I'm allowing the universe to express itself through me, and I am co-creating with the universe. It's not my own forced willpower, my own personal strength. I'm working in harmony with the universe.
Yeah, and it's also not the universe doing it for you.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I had to mention that because like there's a fine line, right? Where it gets into spiritual bypassing and people are like, I'm just waiting for the universe to drop this magical idea into my lap that's going to make me millions. And it's like, no, dude, that's not how it fucking works. It's a co-creative process.
It is a co-creative process. Yes, absolutely. So thank you for inserting that in there. Yeah. So we get into this co-creation space. And you just begin to navigate in that space. I mean, it can be as complicated as you make it. It's when it's simple, it's spiritual. And so can you repeat? I totally just like, we were like going on a tangent somewhere else. And I was like, wait, what was the question again?
I don't know.
Like, wait, let me bring it back home, but I totally forgot what
we can bring it back home. Okay, let's see. Where can we go with this? Well, I mean, I liked where we were going with the spiritual bypassing because
I remember.
Oh, you remember?
I do. Thank you. All right. So when you're looking to really manifest a desire that you have, you're looking to bring something into your life, maybe manifest a person in or something. It's important that your belief systems, we're talking about belief systems.
Belief systems, there we go.
Yep. That it aligns with your desire. Because if you have a belief system that is on the contrary, it is contrasting to what it is that you're looking to bring into your life, you will find maybe you'll get really, 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 really close. And then it'll just disappear, or you'll bring it into your life and then all of a sudden it'll be gone, or you'll never in a million years. It's almost like you keep an arm's length from those desires.
Yeah. So because you self-sabotage sometimes too.
Yes. So working on our belief systems are so important as well. And releasing what is not true, releasing the untruths. But we're all conditioned as human beings, you know, between the ages of 0 and 7 years old, we are like little recorders. We're little sponges absorbing everything around us, the ways of the world, and well-meaning parents, grandparents, schooling, media, whatever. Well, I don't know if the media is always well-meaning, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is imprinting on us, is teaching us the ways of the world. And a lot of those things that are taught to us as we are little tiny humans, they actually limit our greatest capacity, our infinite potential to manifest. And so it is our job. And this is one of the things we talk about as far as like the inward versus the outward, is you have to work on your subconscious mind. You've got to work on your belief systems so that they align with what it is that you're looking to co-create and what you're looking to bring into the world.
That is my jam, boo-boo.
Yes.
That's what I love is these, you know, like the program that can't talk. The programming that we have, you know, we get to a certain age in our life where we become aware of like, oh, like I have this weird thought that's telling me I don't have what it takes to be successful. And I think it's really important for people to understand, like, you weren't born with these thoughts, these beliefs. You weren't born feeling, oh, I'm not worthy. Yeah. You weren't born feeling, oh, I'm not smart enough. You weren't born feeling, you know, success really requires hard work. You weren't born feeling these things. We pick them up along the way. And just as easy as it is to learn, you know, you can also unlearn. Yeah. But it's like being aware of those beliefs first so that you can then do the stuff to unlearn and detach yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've really found that, You know, I've invested, I mean, shit tons of cash on mentors and marketing and all that stuff, right? And I've actually had to unlearn a lot of it because it didn't feel what I call soulfully aligned. It didn't feel
Mhm.
fully in alignment with my truth.
Mm.
And so I'm not a fan of like one size fits all, like boxing a person in.
Mhm.
So yes, there is an unlearning that when we become aware that you are operating on belief systems or old paradigms or things that limit your greatest potential, you have to unlearn them and
Mhm.
remember who you really are, because
Mm.
there is a remembering as well, which you can tap into at any time,
Mhm.
by going within. It's that
Mm.
inward, that introspection process.
Right.
So
So it's
yeah.
like, who were you before you learned all these things that are really stunting your growth?
Yeah, what is your truth? What is your soul's essence? What are you here to do in the world?
Mhm.
You know, I believe that as a soul, we're here to learn. This is like our playground. It's our
Mhm.
school. And so what is what the expression of your soul? What are you here to learn?
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's all good, but it is a process. It is a
Yeah.
journey.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's leave our listeners with some really tangible, practical tips on how they can really start to step into spiritual entrepreneurship in a really big way. So
Mm-hmm.
I know you mentioned meditation.
Yes, yes. I mean, getting some form of meditation practice in,
Mhm.
and it could look and feel very different for every single person, because there are so many different ways that you can meditate. It's not just sitting and you've got your like like that is one way, right? That's one form. So
Right.
experiment, get playful with meditation, because what may be your jam may not resonate with me. It may not be my thing.
Right.
So meditation practice is going to be huge. What I mentioned earlier is asking yourself, sitting with the space of inquiry of, how do I want to feel in my business? How
Mm.
do I want to feel in my life? And
Mm.
I'll, just a little example, I mentioned to you before we started recording,
Mhm.
there was a space of about 2 years where I was very much in my masculine mode, very go, 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 be, do, do, do.
Mhm.
And, and that was taxing me. I was in a space of constant overwhelm, and that was
Mhm.
just pressure I put on myself. That was my own
Right.
thing, and it's okay. But I wanted to feel what was the opposite of overwhelm, and I had to really sit with that, because I didn't know what the opposite of overwhelm was until I meditated,
Right.
and I heard spaciousness. So for
Mhm.
an entire year, I practiced spaciousness. That was the feeling that I wanted to embody. And now that I've practiced spaciousness, I feel like I've got a really beautiful harmony between the both of them.
Mm.
So for right now, how do I want to feel in my business? I want to feel aligned. So if
Mhm.
something is not aligned, no, I love you, but no. So how do you want to feel in your life? I think that's a really, and in your business,
Mhm.
it's an incredibly powerful question.
Mhm.
And sit with that and know that it can change throughout the year too. Giving
Right.
yourself permission. It doesn't have to be a word of the year. Um,
You're not stuck with it, guys. It's okay.
Yes. Yes. But and the other thing is that and this is a muscle that you work out, you just like, you go to the gym, you work out that bicep and that
Mhm.
tricep. This is the same thing,
Right.
is beginning to listen to your own inner truth. I
Mm.
can tell you that has been my best business partner,
Mm.
is listening to my own truth. How does this fit in my business? Oh, it feels kind of weird, but my mentor just told me I should do that. Listen to yourself, because you
Mhm.
know, you know more than you give yourself credit for knowing.
Mhm.
So leaving people with just simply that you're more powerful than you realize, and you already have the answers for your life and for your business already inside of you.
Mm.
Period.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mic drop. Answers are within, people. Look
Yeah.
within.
Yeah.
Stop looking outside yourself.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Jen. This is like, I think this is just such an important discussion, especially in the field of entrepreneurship, because it is so easy. I mean, our industry, the entrepreneurial industry, makes it easy to always look outward,
Absolutely.
which cultivates then a habit of looking outside of ourselves, which is why we have so many people who feel disconnected and misaligned and exhausted and like they're running on low batteries. And it's like, well, this is just such an important reminder for people to like slow down and look within in order to speed up, in order to gain the success that you want, in order to feel the feelings that you want to feel and experience in your life and in your business.
Absolutely. And that's actually a really, really important question as well,
Mm-hmm.
is just like this whole comparison thing is sit with and define success on your own damn
Yes.
terms. Because
Yes.
success for me does not equal money.
Right.
And so what does it mean for you? Maybe it is money,
Mm-hmm.
that you've got more money in the bank, that then I'm successful.
Right.
But I can tell you that inquiring about what that means to you is going to mean, it's going to change things for you.
Yeah. So to our listeners, like ask yourself that question today, right after this podcast, like sit down and ask yourself, what does success mean to me? Because maybe this whole time you've been going after the wrong things.
Yes. Yes. Prioritizing things that are not in alignment with
Yeah.
your truth. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Well, Jen, thank you so much for such an insightful and eye-opening discussion. And it's something that, needs to be talked about more in our entrepreneurial space, is just the idea of going inward and building upon that awareness in order to gain the success, however we define it, that we desire. So, Jen, we're near the end of the episode, and this is where I ask my guest to provide a love punch to our listeners. And a love punch is really just a short and punchy affirmation to kick their ass into gear. So, Jen, what's your love punch for today?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, I actually thought I mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again. My
Yes,
loves, just in
please do.
case you tuned out for a moment, is you truly are more powerful than you realize, and all of the answers are within you.
Remember that, people. Remember. The answers are always within.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Jen. I so appreciate you.
Likewise. Love. Thank
And
you so much.
to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Love Punch, where I'm challenging thought leaders, influencers, and entrepreneurs like you to make a lasting impact. So if you'd love this episode with me and Jen, make sure you share it with a friend, and don't forget to hit subscribe. And Jen, please tell everyone how they can stalk you online.
Well, please don't stalk me, but I'm happy to love you up. Just simply jenmavros.com.
Awesome. That's nice and easy. I'll also put that in the show notes for you. So thank you again, everyone. If you have any questions or just want to say what's up, reach out to me on social. My handle is @IamRuby. And don't forget to drop a review on iTunes. So I will see you here next week for a new episode of Love Punch.